And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm Mike Harrison, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I want to thank you for joining me today. I really enjoy having guests on the show. The great thing about Lifestyles Unlimited, I'm always amazed at just how unique our group of real estate investors are. They come from all walks of life, different levels of experience. We have members from all over the country. Some of those members have been real estate investors for decades. Others are just starting out. We've got older people, young people, every age in between, every profession in between, every background you can imagine. Some folks are college grads, many are not. We have doctorates. You name it. Anybody can be a real estate investor if they want. The beauty of real estate investing really is literally anyone can do it. It's very simple. You follow a plan and then you rinse and repeat that plan and you just do it over and over and over. You can be as successful as you want. But the bottom line, the absolute bottom line, the most important part of this whole endeavor is just getting started. And speaking of starting out, I have a couple on the show today that joined just about a year ago, maybe slightly more than a year ago. And I must say the progress they have made in only 12 months in such a short amount of time is quite impressive. Adam and Amy, I really want to thank you for sharing your time today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Great to be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I'll say this is on me. You're from Belleville, Michigan, that's correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I should have more people from Michigan on the show. So little shout out to, I know we have a large group in Michigan. I want to do some more. I want to learn more about Michigan, but where is Belleville?
Sure thing, Mike. Belleville is located between Detroit and Ann Arbor, Michigan. So we're in the southeast corner of Michigan here, and we work and live in Motown. I think most people know of Detroit as Motor City, and that's what Amy and I have done for the majority of our careers is work in the auto industry here. It's a great state for technology, a lot of competent workforce here, and frankly, real estate is something that while it's pretty prevalent here as well, just across the country, it's something we have not been into before. So Lifestyles was maybe a new venture for us outside of our normal jobs.
Yeah, and in fact, I was going to ask you, but let me say this: I thought Motown was just a label, but it's a real city.
Absolutely, yes. Motown is Detroit. It is the Motor City, and we're proud to be here.
All right, learn something every day. But Adam, you mentioned it. Based on your background and careers, y'all are fairly young in life. I know it may not feel that way sometimes, but why would you take a look at real estate investing?
Sorry, I'll go ahead and take that one. We were really looking forward to find other ways to kind of fund our retirement and other ways of income, have an opportunity to get away from our W-2 jobs and kind of phase into the next chapter. And, every time we talked about it, we kept on coming back to real estate as being that venue for us. But we were definitely a little bit lost on how to get started. So finding LU and, the roadmap we're seeing now, we feel like, we've spent the last 10 years talking about it. We're finally doing it.
Amy, I can sympathize with you. I think I was at the part of my life where I was going through the same situation. Were you dissatisfied with your corporate retirement plan and decided to look for something different, or were you just ready for something new?
Yeah, it's probably a little combination of both. I think, we were looking at ways that we could retire earlier than the normal, the 55, 60 years old. And so if you want to be able to retire before that, you are going to take penalties at withdrawing from your traditional retirement sources, so your 401k, your IRA. And not wanting to do that, it's what other options do you have? you have to continue working or you have to find another way. And that's why real estate became attractive to us, because it's a cash flowing asset. So would it be a way for us to get income, have our money working for us, and yield us the opportunity to exit the W-2, retire earlier, and not have to touch those traditional savings accounts?
Right. Right. Well, Amy, actually, when you start realizing that what's in your 401k IRA isn't going to deliver what you want or what you need when you're 55 or 60, you hit one of them. You said you continue working. Actually, there's 3 points. You have to continue working, you have to save more, and you have to condition yourself to live on less. And I wasn't going to accept that. So, Adam, how'd y'all find Lifestyles Unlimited?
Yeah, great question. We actually had good friends of ours that had been in Lifestyles for the better part of 10 years. And we watched their journey. They worked with us in the auto industry, and so we got to see not only how they were dealing with their W-2 job, but then also how they were progressing in real estate. And, Amy, I think, hit on it, but we have never really been into real estate. We had no path for that. We had no real knowledge in investing in real estate. And so, sort of on the outside looking in for a couple of years, we watched our friends progress through, be able to build passive income and ask a question here and there. But the real turning point, and I like to tell this to anyone that likes to listen, is that at one point, my job was getting to the point that it was a 7-day-a-week venture. Right? I was always committing my time to the auto industry and progressing our products. And there's some pride in that for sure, but that only goes so far, right? At some point, you realize that you're just in an unsustainable pace. And so we said, you know what? Let's give our friends a call and understand what's really going on in this place called Lifestyles Unlimited. And that really started our journey.
I've guests on today's show from Belleville, Michigan, Amy and Adam. And Amy and Adam joined Lifestyles Unlimited about a year ago. They've made incredible progress on their investing in just a year. And we're going to get to that as we go later in the show, so I hope you can stay with us. But essentially, Amy, you had shared that you're looking at, you're both corporate folks working in Motor City, working in the auto industry there, and just the corporate grinder. I can imagine the pressures of that position, but you're looking at your retirement funds and you're realizing it's not going to be all frolicking in khakis on some beach in the Caribbean when you're 55 like you had planned. And then, Adam, you were discussing that your job, well, you had a lot of pride in your job, was becoming a 7-day grinder. And so you had some friends that had begun their real estate investing career, and you reached out to them for more information. Why don't you take it from there, Adam?
Sure thing, Mike. Yeah, I mean, from there, it really became, all right, let's sign up for the initial education. So there's a 2-day seminar that allows us to really understand the philosophy behind Lifestyles and a little bit into the details of investing in real estate and why real estate has, we'll say, a very forgiving nature to it when it comes to your financial goals. And so out of that, it just kind of clicked for Amy and I about the way that we could start a passive income stream that was separate from our W-2 jobs and could be something that would grow over time regardless of whether we were working traditionally or not. And so from there, we did that initial training and then decided, all right, we want to sign up and become what are called preferred members. It allows us to have full access to education, go through an entire training course to become certified in investing in both single-family and multifamily real estate. And then I think the big event was the Lifestyles Expo, which happens once a year. We hit that just this spring, and that is where we really started to grow our network of people, because Lifestyles is about networking. It's about the relationships of people who are like-minded and want to invest in real estate. And from there, I think is what really springboarded us into investing what we call passively into multifamily apartments. And so as a passive investor, we can develop relationships with syndicates that are leading these large multifamily property acquisitions, and we can partner with them and have investments in these passively so that we can not only learn from the outside, but have a passive income stream from the net operating income of these properties.
Nothing better than being a passive. I love it.
Absolutely.
It's addicting. I mean, every time I tell myself, I'm going to go, maybe I'll do another house for fun. This looks like a great deal, or do something here, or I always just go back and throw my money back into a passive. It's it's hard not to. I want to go back for a moment. It sounds like the two of you were both essentially metaphorically hand in hand. Let's do this lifestyles. Let's check it out. Let's go to the 2-day. Am I hearing that correctly? Because my wife, I will tell you, was not 100% on board. Not that she was against real estate investing. I think she was just against jumping out of what we'd all had ingrained in our life, this conventional corporate feed the 401k retire plan. And I'm realizing that's not working. And I think she's realizing it's not working. But it sounds like both of you are just like, yeah, let's try this new endeavor. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We tend to leap together. We definitely were feeling the frustrations together, both of us at the same time, and kind of, having those conversations at the dinner table of, is there another way? And we collectively decided to go into the education together, and we came out with the same opinion of, yep, this is it. Let's do it.
Fabulous. Yeah, that's big. I mean, there is a cost to go to the preferred level. And the discussion as a family, right? We're on a budget. We're trying to prepare for our retirement. Are we making the right move? And then looking at it from the outside, and we're all in this together. We know that the cost to go at the preferred level is it's a tip on a bar tab, really, once you get into it. But it's significant, and the fact that you were both there and said, this is what we're going to do. Was there no thought or consideration to purchasing single-family properties?
That was sort of where we thought our path was going to be. But the great thing about lifestyles is that there is this sort of path that can allow you to grow with not only your own definition of how fast you want to get into real estate, but how you learn, right, and learn about the different investment portals, if you will. Between single family, which is a great way to get into it, especially if you don't have a lot of initial income, right, sort of spare income or spare savings to dive in, you can get into buying single family houses and investing in those and getting a very consistent and quick return on your investment. However, if you saved up enough and are willing to commit enough money into larger investments, multifamily gives you another avenue in which the scale factor becomes very, very large, where your money can make much more money faster because you're investing more to start. And so when we first started thinking about single-family investments, we said, well, let's try a few single-family because this will get us the knowledge that we need. But then actually meeting with the Lifestyles mentors, we learned a lot about maybe that growth pattern. And a lot of them told us, look, Adam, Amy, you guys have some savings. You have enough here. If your eventual goal is to get into multifamily, to take advantage of that scale, go there now. You have the ability, take the leap, and don't look back. And that's what we've done so far.
Take the leap you did. I love how Amy said you jump into it together.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I love that y'all are. I will tell you, I started slow. I joined and I told myself I'm going to go houses. I had the ability to go multifamily. It took me 6 months to buy my first house. I mean, what a nut. I'd love to go back in time and slap myself on the back of the head. But I didn't see it. So, and I take it your friends in Michigan that were already members, that probably helped you along the way, their insight as well. I take it they're passive investors?
Yeah, it definitely did. Seeing friends who had traveled the path and having conversations with them, learning from their experiences, definitely kind of helped give us the courage to take the bigger leap. They are passives as well as lead investors, so syndicators within Lifestyles.
That's great. I didn't have it. I found I was a corporate guy. I found Lifestyles Unlimited essentially online. I had purchased a single-family property in a self-directed IRA. I mean, I was just shooting from the hip, and if you fire enough bullets, maybe something will hit. And then eventually found Lifestyles Unlimited and said there may be something to this. I need to learn how to do it properly, and that's when I joined. And then once I got that first house, I just went. But I love the fact that both of you had that clear understanding and that clear path from the beginning. You had that mentorship essentially because you had friends that have already done this. And then, Adam, back to what you said earlier about the networking. I want to come back and talk about Expo on the other side. We're up against a break here in a few. But that networking side, just the ability of you to bounce questions off your friends. Hey, what about this? How does this work? Why should we do it this way? And for them to honestly kind of set you straight and set you on your path is absolutely wonderful. My name is Mike Harrison. We'll be right back after a short break.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, not because that's the way it's set up, but because of the knowledge.
When put into action, knowledge is power. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we empower you to live the lifestyle of your dreams through passive real estate income. For over 30 years, our successful members share their knowledge through case studies, classes, and mentoring. Tap into the knowledge. Attend a free workshop online. Register now at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm Mike Harrison, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I want to thank you for joining me today. If you've got any questions or comments or would like to learn more about Lifestyles Unlimited, please send me an email. My email address is askmike@luinc.com. I have Amy and Adam from Bellevue, Michigan on the show today. They joined in December of 2021. They are certified passive investors as of January of 2022. Here we are just about 1 year later, not even quite that, and they have already invested in 753 doors of real estate. When people say, hey, Mike, I want to become a real estate investor, and then they look at it and they look at it and they look at it, and they fail to take action or they take very slow action, I would like to point you to Amy and Adam, who once they said, this is our path forward, this is how we're going to fund our retirement, this is how we're going to become financially free, this is how we're going to create passive income. Not only did they jump in, they jumped in as fast as they possibly could because they had that clear understanding. Adam, before we get into your investments, Amy, I want to talk about our Expo, our Wealth and Passive Income Expo. Y'all flew all the way down from Michigan. That's not a cheap trip, I'm sure, to come to the Expo. Was it everything you thought it would be?
And more. We had heard of what Expo could be like. It was drinking from a fire hose. Yeah. But it was awesome. We had decided to join, become members, do our preferred education, but not do any investments until we went to Expo. We really wanted to gain as much education as we possibly could and build relationships with people within the community before pulling the trigger and making any investments. And it was totally worth it. We had 3 full days of education because we went on some bus tours looking at multifamily properties as part of the Expo.
I love those.
So it was awesome to actually, kind of have the touch and feel, aspect. So you take a lot of classes, you learn, but it is definitely something to then walk a property and actually see that education in action. So that was pivotal for us. And then just, 2 full days of real estate classes on every topic that you can imagine, and then just the networking and learning from people who've been there and done it was huge.
Yeah, you got to essentially see real people that, not just your friends, but then you walk into a room and there's 1,000 people just like them that are passive investors from all over the country, and you can ask them any question you want. Hey, how's it going for you? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Why did you join? Why did you get started? So, yeah, the Expo is amazing. I take it we'll see you again this February. Is that
tickets are booked?
Okay, fantastic. Well, I hope to meet you in person. And so the fact that y'all were able to just kind of hold your water and be patient and not really begin your investing until after Expo puts even more emphasis on what you've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time with 753 doors of investing. But let's talk about that very first one, 34 units in Sulphur Springs, Texas. How'd you find the opportunity?
Yeah, great question, Mike. I think that first opportunity came from a relationship we had found at Expo. So again, relationships being key in this business. Met a really nice couple that was very much, I would say, like-minded to us. I think even they were roughly the same age as us. They were very much into starting their multifamily journey, starting with a small property in Sulphur Springs, which showed a great growth pattern. And that's the important thing about investing in real estate. It's about finding the right market, the right type of deal. And everyone has a slightly different investment mentality, right? Some people are looking for long-term gains. Some are looking for deep value plays, as we call them, which are properties that may need a lot of renovation to then up their NOI or their net operating income to then have a much higher value and sell in a faster motion and then have more income for yourself quickly to then reinvest. And so these syndicators had a plan for a deep value play in a market that was in a growth trend. And we felt like it was a great first step. And yes, that first step can be a little bit nervous on the back end, right? You're investing with someone that you've met, you've developed a relationship with, but if you've never done real estate, it's a big step to go and say, all right, I'm going to take some of my funds, fund your deal, and partner with you in this journey. But what it really, I think, came down to was that first deal it just springboarded us into the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the relationships got bigger and broader. And it's like we say, it's just a snowball effect, right? And now we're into 8 deals by the end of this year.
Yes, and that's incredible. Just jumping in and moving. So the fact that this is a value play, and I just want to spell this out for the listener that may not understand, is this is a heavy lift. I take it this property was not in the best condition, and so essentially everything needs to be fixed, not just the property, the inside, the outside, most likely the management, and most likely the residents. Sometimes you've got to make a resident change. You may not have the best person in this property, and that may need to be addressed. So a lot of times, not only is it management issues, it's just the business, how it's being run. So that's a deep value play versus a yield, which would cash flow almost immediately. That's a property that's in fairly decent shape, and it just needs a few items to be addressed. So, Adam, was that a first-time lead in this property?
It was, yes. This was a first-time lead, and I'll tell you, we are actually invested in a combination of experienced and first-time leads. And for us, it's as much about the lead as it is the deal. So for us, it's 50-50. Yeah. The lead has to not only share our values and our thoughts on how they're going to manage the property, but the deal and the area, the location, the surrounding submarket, these two come together for us to create a deal that we want to invest in. And so while this was a first-time lead deal, we felt that was a great opportunity for us because these were people that you could tell were very dedicated. They were going to follow the roadmap to a T, and we felt like it was a great first step. But like I said, from there, we've actually been able to develop relationships and invest with experienced leads that have done 4, 5, 6 deals and are now very experienced in it. And by that token, can then go to a much higher scale, right, and go to much larger amounts of properties.
I'm glad you shared that because I was going to ask you essentially what's the most important factor you look for in an investment. And from your side of it, I take it it's the lead, but it sounds like as far as deal metrics, right? You've mentioned that you're willing to invest with first-time leads, second-time leads that have done multiple properties. But then again, talk to me about property type. You looking for anything in that regard?
Well, I did mention that we do generally invest in value-type deals, so deals that do need a lot of heavy lift from a renovation standpoint, sometimes from a quality of residence standpoint. So we do spend the most amount of time. Once we develop a relationship with leads, we now know who we would like to invest in. But then, of course, the much more important factor is that deal the right one for us? Is it a deal that we think is in a growing submarket, likely has rents that are well below those properties around it, and can command more rent should the property be brought up to standards of the comparables around it? So I would say it is a combination of both, but it certainly starts with developing relationships with those that you want to invest in, and then finding the property and the deal that makes sense for your investment style.
Y'all's portfolio is incredibly diverse. You've got properties that are 8 units in size all the way up to one that's 250 6 units. Any thoughts on that, Adam?
Again, for a passive investor, the size of the property doesn't necessarily tell you whether you're going to make more money or not. It's about the deal and the process of the return of that deal. 8 units is a great place to start for someone. And again, this was also a first-time lead, the 8 units, where they're able to self-manage the property. And if they are very diligent, they follow the roadmap, they'll have just as much success as a long-term lead that has been doing properties for 10, 15 years and is invested in the 256 units.
I would like to invite you to our Wealth and Passive Income Expo and Masters Tour. Amy spoke about it in the last segment. If you missed it, you'd want to go back and pick that portion up so you can hear her thoughts on it. If you go to wealthandpassiveincomeexpo.com, passes are on sale right now. If you want to do the Masters Tour, that's what Amy was talking about, that portion will sell out. I invite you to get your passes now, wealthandpassiveincomeexpo.com. That's February 15th through 18th in Irving, Texas at the Toyota Music Factory in the Irving Convention Center. Fantastic venue. We're going to have a lot of fun. Amy and Adam from Belleville, Michigan, they're going to be there. I'll be there, and 6,000 of our closest friends from all over the country will be there. So I have Amy and Adam on the show today. They joined Lifestyles Unlimited in December of 2021. They were looking for a better way to create wealth, a better way to create passive income, because they did not want to work until they were 70 years old, like what's going on today with everybody in the conventional world, the failed 401k. They were looking for a better way. So what have they done in such a short amount of time? Well, they have funded numerous multifamily deals, 753 doors of real estate. Amy, let me ask you this. That first one is always kind of nervous, right? You're writing a check and you're sending it off to somebody. Adam explained that you're even sending it off to a first-time lead in Sulphur Springs, Texas. What are you guys, crazy? What are you thinking? But how long was it from the first to the second investment? That sometimes there's some hesitation after that first one. Tell me about, and I think I know how you're going to answer, because both of y'all are like, let's hold hands and jump off this cliff, and we're either going to do a heck of a cliff dive into the ocean or no. Real estate investing is not like that. But you know what I'm saying. How long was it to the second one?
I think it was a week.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow.
It happened. We closed our first 3 deals very close to each other.
Yeah.
So we were actively looking and evaluating deals that were coming across that we were looking at from those that we had met and connected with, and they happened to close pretty quickly within each other. So it was a little scary, but we had done a lot of our due diligence, getting to know the leads as well as the deal, and that. One thing I think that gives us comfort in this investing is that we can do our own education, our own analysis on the deal, analyze the market ourselves, and we're definitely empowered with a lot more information about what we're investing in than we think we have otherwise.
Amy, you hit the nail on the head, because I get a lot of questions about deal evaluation. I get a ton. Because, I mean, a private placement memorandum is a solid 60, 80, maybe more pages than that. There's a lot to review in there. And my response always, I try to answer their question, but spend your time analyzing the lead. More time should be spent analyzing the lead, the general partner, the syndicator, because it is more about the lead than the deal. Now, I'm not saying ignore what's in that private placement memorandum. I'm not saying that at all, but there's not enough analysis done by people on the lead, and you and Adam are doing the right thing right out of the gate. Now, talk to me about funding. You both have corporate backgrounds. Where's the money coming from? Are you having to tap into quote-unquote conventional wisdom retirement funds?
No, so we are fortunate. We've been saving since we were 18, and we've been able to tap in some of the savings accounts that we had prior. So we actually haven't touched kind of the corporate retirement funds yet. Yeah. We're just kind of tapped into those savings and redeploying into real estate.
Adam, do you have any thought on that? Y'all are both still young. I mean, up until 59 and a half, it's going to be that 10% penalty I'll tell you this, Del Walmsley basically punched me right in the stomach on, day one Saturday. It was, if I remember right, it was April 18th of 2013, but who's counting? And he essentially told me to cash out my retirement funds right then. And it was like, oh my God, I didn't come here for that. What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's a growth within our stages of our investments, right? We were fortunate enough to be, super savers and have a lump of money to start this passive real estate investment. However, our 401ks are still sitting there, still, deployable money for when we feel like we want to take the next step. And so while we have not yet, certainly Amy and I are evaluating what is the best play with what money we do have left in the traditional retirement accounts, because quite frankly, that can certainly grow, right? And I don't want to sit here on the radio show and say they're the worst, most evil tool ever. They are just a tool that requires one very important point, and that is a lot of time. Yeah. And if you or I or anyone else is not happy with their current stage in life and being able to actually take the next 30 or 40 years to see if that will actually pan out, and you want to do something else to accelerate your actual retirement, this is the vessel, right? And so that money is there. Will we use it? I think we could, depending on what is our next move, right, within real estate and where we want to go. Which actually brings me to my next point, which is that we just this week decided that we are going to sign up and be lead investors and start leading these properties ourselves.
Excellent. Well, you're exactly right. It's about acceleration. If the 401k it's a time play. It was designed to be a time play, and the retirement equation there is time times rate of return times how much money you can put in there, and that's going to equal retirement. Maybe it just depends on your means. Just interesting thought. I did borrow from my 401k twice. I eventually liquidated them. It took me years to come to that decision. I'll share that. But I did. I was able to borrow for myself, and I think they charge us a 4% return when we pay it back, and they just pull so much out of your paycheck. And I paid both of those back, and it was worth it. So something to think about. Adam, let's continue for a moment. You're doing something different. Obviously, from what most people do, are you getting some thoughts from your friends and family on the path that you and Amy are taking?
Certainly, and that is probably one of the difficult points, is that when you decide to do something that is, we'll say, out of the norm, you don't always get the best and most positive feedback, right? And that's something we knew. We knew going into it that, we had to deal with the fact that some may not agree with where we were going. But the good news is that we have families that I think are very supportive no matter what decisions we make. And while they may be hesitant in what we're doing, we aren't, right? We know what we're doing, and we feel very confident in our way forward. And along the journey, some of our friends have been curious and have asked questions. And my feeling is that one day they'll probably ask us the same question we asked our friends who had been in lifestyles for 10 years about what have you been doing and how have you done well in this venture. So, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question, but at the same time, I think it's been positive and we've been supported, and we're looking forward to the days ahead.
Yeah, you're right. And look, you've only been doing it for 1 year. I mean, that is a moment in time. That's really nothing. And so our closest friends and family kind of look at what we're doing, and yes, people we love wish the best for us. I know my father loved me, and he kept trying to talk me into investing in long bonds. That was his thing. But, that was an adage of the 20th century. It's what he grew up in, and it's what he knew. And it was just a unique outlook that he had. And I'm thankful I didn't take that avenue. Amy, let me ask you this. Would you describe anything you've been able to accomplish difficult or complicated?
Not at all. It's just, it takes time. Right, and if you want to make sure you are getting your education, understanding the deals that you're getting into, doing your due diligence, we set aside a couple hours a week to do something, whether it's take another course, analyze a deal, connect with people within lifestyles. We set up Zoom calls and make connections and catch up with people that we met at Expo. But no matter what, it's just taking a couple hours a week and putting the time in. But it's not difficult. You just got to take the time.
All right, and one more for you, Amy. real estate investing is definitely hands-on. You're building for the future. What has it meant for you and Adam's relationship? Because you're both doing it together as opposed to the 401k investing where money just comes out of the check. It's a no-brainer. And I often joke that I never sat down with a bottle of champagne and reviewed my quarterly 401k statement with my wife. There's nothing romantic about that. But I'll tell you, when I get a refinance that gives me 75% of an investment that I made 3 years prior, we definitely sit down and celebrate. So how is real estate investing, what has that meant for you and Adam's relationship?
It's probably brought us a little bit closer. I think the exciting thing for us right now is we have a plan, that's a little bit more concrete and that we can control than what we had before. And so now, we're, like I said, we take leaps together. We're going full steam on this one. We want to see how it plays out, and we are starting the plans to saying, okay, well, what's going to happen in 3 years, in 5 years, when we get to quit the W-2s and we're on this path. Having that plan has been really exciting for us. It's made our future a little bit more tangible. And we like to keep busy. So not knowing exactly what we were going to do was a little, I think, scary, for us, because we want to make sure like we're fully occupied our time, and this is giving it to us.
Wonderful. Amy and Adam, I want to thank you for coming on the deal. Both of you embolden something I say all the time, and that's do something today your future self will thank you for. You've made great success and great progress. My name is Mike Harrison. It's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.